With a new chipset, some big upgrades to the display, and plenty of new AI features, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is more than just another refresh, but is it worth upgrading? Let's take a look. So on first glance, it's very similar to its predecessor, but there are plenty of changes inside and out, and Samsung have focused on usability and user experience, and even with my short time using the phone, it shows. The display is now flat, and to be honest, I'm one of the few people that actually like the curved displays, but the flat display does make things a lot easier to use, especially when you're using scroll bars at the side of the display or when using an S Pen. Now the display is the same size as last year, but the resolution is a tiny bit higher, coming in at 3120 by 1440, and we've now got an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. It's now protected by Gorilla Glass armor, but the most notable change when using it is a much brighter display, coming in at 2600 nits of peak brightness. When you compare this to last year's 1750, it's very noticeable, especially when you're out in the sunlight. The new anti-reflective coating also does a great job at helping you see the display, especially when you're using the always-on display, and without a doubt I can say this is the best smartphone display I've used. Now for those of you that want ultra protection for your display, as well as the rest of your Galaxy S24, we've got today's video sponsor, Taurus Case. The new O-stand case from Taurus not only provides military-grade protection for your phone, but it's also a very versatile case. It's compatible with wireless chargers, we've got the built-in stand on the back, and this can not only be used as a ring to securely hold your phone in one hand, but you can also use it as a phone stand to hold your phone at a variety of different angles, which I find especially helpful when using the S Pen. Now this is taken a step further with the Taurus ring, and you can stick this down to a surface such as your car and have a quick magnetic mount. We've got a transparent case to show off the color of your S24, or we've got the dark case which pairs well with my black S24 Ultra, and the cases provide full protection and protrude past the camera lenses as well as the display. Now for those of you that want full protection for the display, they've also got their Diamond Shield screen protector, and this not only adds that full protection to your screen, but it's also incredibly easy to fit perfectly thanks to the installation kit that allows you to quickly install it without any dust or air bubbles. Now of course the links to the Taurus cases are down in the description below, so go ahead and check them out now. So apart from the improvements to the display, we've now got a matte titanium used for the frame, and this not only looks great, but it's also nice to the touch, and it isn't bad for leaving fingerprint marks. Over on the rear it looks exactly the same as the predecessor, but we do have some change to the cameras, and I think for the better. We've got the 200 megapixel primary camera, the 12 megapixel ultra wide, the 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x zoom, and then Samsung have dropped the 10x telephoto and replaced it with a new 50 megapixel telephoto with 5x optical zoom. Now personally, I think this was a good move from Samsung, as 5x zoom is arguably going to be used a lot more often than 10x, and thanks to the new 50 megapixel sensor, it can now crop in and shoot 10x shots at near optical quality anyway. And then we also still get the 100x space zoom, but we'll go into more detail in the camera sample shortly. Now the S24 Ultra comes with a choice of up to 1TB of storage with 12GB of RAM, and it's of course powered by the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which brings with it improvements in performance and efficiency. For those concerned about synthetic benchmarks, I ran it through Geekbench 6 and we get a single core score of 2231 and then a multi-core score of 7034, and this is a decent improvement over the S23 Ultra's 1896 for single core and 5024 for multi. Now for those of you that want to do a bit of mobile gaming, then of course it's going to handle anything you throw at it. Now I'm not much of a mobile gamer myself, but I've tested it with the latest games like Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9, and it plays them flawlessly, exactly as you'd expect. Now one thing to point out though is that although we do have a larger vapor chamber this time round, the phone does still get quite hot after even a 15-minute gaming session, and it is warm to the touch. So when it comes to the high performance tasks, as always I imagine it will be limited by the thermal throttling. Where the S24 really shines, however, is the new software and AI features, and the great thing is that Samsung have focused on things that are actually going to be useful, rather than just filling it with lots of gimmicks. Now the circle to search feature is great, and even with my limited use of the phone so far, it's something that I've used a lot more than I thought I would. You can hold the home button down whatever you're doing on the phone, and you then just circle or tap anything on your phone, and it can be images or text, and then it's going to instantly Google it for you. It's fast, it's accurate, and it just makes things a lot more streamlined, and then after you've searched, you can just return back to what you were doing. Now you can literally use it for anything like seeing a picture and wanting to know where the location is, or Googling something that someone is wearing if you want to buy it. Now the Live Translate also looks impressive, and it's great for those of you that either travel a lot or deal with people in other countries and have language barriers, and you just make a phone call and the phone is going to do the translating for you live within the app, and best of all, it does it from within the device itself, so it can work without any data reception. Now personally, it's not something I need and I'm probably never going to use it, but it's still good to have, and I'm sure a lot of you will get a lot of use out of it. Now the voice recorder also gets some AI improvements, and it's going to label the speakers and transcribe any meeting efficiently. You can have a nice bullet pointed list at the end of it, and this is a great time saver. Now this also works with notes, where it's going to summarize your notes for you, and then you can also use AI to tidy up your notes by straightening up the handwriting or turning it into a bullet pointed list. Now when it comes to photos, we've got the usual stuff like background blur and magic eraser, but we've also got a lot of changes we can do with generative AI. You can use the AI to move subjects or change things, and it's pretty similar to what we saw on the Pixels, and for those times that you want to make some quick edits on your phone, then it's very useful. When it comes to the cameras, it's pretty much what you'd expect from the S24 Ultra. Now I've only had the phone a few days, so we're going to get into a lot more detail in the in-depth review, but overall I'm happy with the results. When shooting a photo, you can choose between 12, 50 or 200 megapixels depending on your needs, and overall I've been very happy with the photos. They've taken nice true-to-life images without oversaturating anything, and we get a nice amount of detail in the highlights as well as the shadows. Now the images have plenty of detail with nice sharp edges, and the night shots also come out pretty well, and it does seem to be an improvement over last year's. Now the new 5x zoom lens provides some great quality images, and then here are a couple at the new 10x crop mode for those of you that will be using it, and here we also have some shots at 100x zoom, but personally it's something that I never use. When it comes to video, you can shoot 8K videos at 30 frames a second, and as you can see it comes out well, but it's important to note that my YouTube video is uploaded at 4K, so it is losing a lot of that detail through YouTube. So here we have the video, 8K 30 frames a second. Again, it's on YouTube, so it's only going to be in 4K. I'll just do a slow pan. But it'll give you an idea of what the audio is like as well. There's a lot of cars coming by. Tiny bit of wind, but not too bad. But that's the video, 8K 30 frames a second. Now I usually shoot at 4K 60 frames a second though, and as you can see here, it's great quality video as you'd expect. We've got nice detail, nice colors, and smooth stabilization when walking or panning. You can also adjust the zoom while recording, and we've got this nice transition between the zooms, and for those of you concerned about the audio, we'll just take a listen to the audio sample now. So this is the camera, 4K 60 frames a second. I'm walking forward, there's also a lot of wind blowing at me, so it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. If we just do a slow pan. And carry on walking. So I'm just walking at a normal speed here, so we'll see how the stabilization deals with it. This is the rear camera, 4K 60 frames a second. This is a video in the ultra wide at 0.6 times, again 4K 60 frames a second. Just do a slow pan. Back again. Then I'll just walk forward so that we can see what the stabilization's like. So here we have a view from the ultra wide at 0.6 times. If you go into 1 times, pop into 3 times, go into 5 times, 10 times, bit of a pan, and hard when filming, but there we go, 20 times, just a slow pan at 20, and back to 1. So here we've got 4K 60 at night time. It's a little bit noisy in the viewfinder, but we'll have to wait and see how that comes out in the computer. For the selfie camera, it's the same as last year. We've got the same 12 megapixel camera that we had last year, and I don't have my old S23 Ultra to compare to, but it doesn't look to be any better or any worse than we had before.
This is a video from the selfie camera. It's 4K, 60 frames a second. Bit of a dull day, and again we've got a lot of wind blowing at me, so we'll see how that comes out. But it looks good in the viewfinder. Just sort of do a pan. But that's the video quality from the selfie camera.
Now, powering the device, we've got the same 5000 mAh battery as last year, and it's a little disappointing that we also don't have any improvements to the fast charge. It's 45 watt wired charging, 15 watt wireless, and then 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging. The battery does, however, work well, and it's easily lasting me the day. Even with lots of screen on time when testing features for my review, I haven't had any issues. Now, as I said, I've only had the phone for a few days though, so I don't have any extensive data to look at, but expect the same battery performance as last year, but maybe a little bit of improvement thanks to the efficiency improvements in the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The phone ships with One UI 6.1, and for general use, it's what you'd expect from Samsung. There's not really any change from the previous phones apart from the new AI stuff. We've got the same S Pen with the same UI that we're used to, and overall the software works well. It's great for your day-to-day tasks like browsing socials or watching media, and for me, the haptic feedback when typing is just right. Now, one big change we do have now is that Samsung are also committing to 7 years of software updates on the S24 series, and this is great news for those of you that keep your phones for a long time, and for those that don't, hopefully it will help it hold its value a little bit more. And when it comes to the unboxing experience, it's small and compact as usual, although it still gets delivered in a bigger box, so it's not as environmentally friendly as it could be. But first up, we get the S24 Ultra, and as you can see, I've got the black version here. We've then got the folder on the inside of the box, and in this, we get the SIM removal tool, the USB cable, the manual, the quick start guide, and that's it. After a few days with the phone though, I have to say I'm impressed, and it's exactly what I expected it to be. A similar phone, but with improvements to the software and hardware, and as I said at the beginning, the improvements to the display just make for a much more pleasurable experience. With the high levels of brightness, it's incredibly clear, it's as smooth and responsive as you'd expect from a Samsung display, and it's just a pleasure to use. One thing I do miss, however, is the curved display, but to be fair, I think I'm part of the minority there, and the display improvements do make up for this. Now, because of its similarities to the predecessor, it's probably not worth upgrading from the S23 Ultra, unless of course you're one of those people that has to have the latest and greatest smartphone. But for anyone with an older S phone or looking to get their first S phone, this can be a great place to start. It performs well in all of the tasks you need, it's got an incredible amount of power thanks to the new chipset. Now, this is just a first impressions video, and I'm going to go into a lot more detail in a couple of weeks' time. But if there's anything I've missed or you've got any questions at all, then just ask them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech.